city clerk to start the meeting.
Yeah, I just texted her.
We're late.
So we're going to do, we're going to wait for the regular meeting to do inspiration, right?
Yes.
Yes.
And we won't do pledge or anything like that.
Until the regular meeting.
Thank you for the question. All right. I'd like to call to order the special meeting for July 8th, 2025. Madam Clerk, could you do a roll call of council members, please?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Mayor Robert Parkhurst.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Christine Lowe.
Present.
Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Edward Garcia was previously excused from this evening's meeting. Councilmember Jean Goss.
Here.
And Councilmember Kelly Krebs.
Here.
Mr. Mayor, we have a quorum.
Great. All right. First order is to do approval of the meeting agenda for the special meeting. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. We have one item on the agenda for the special meeting, and it is a discussion item with Police Chief Gus Barrientos. Chief Barrientos, could you please come forward?
Good evening, Mayor Pro Temp and City Council. I will be providing an update on bear activity in Sierra Madre. We recognize that the rise in home intrusions and attempt intrusions by bears is concerning. The Sierra Madre Police Department is actively monitoring the recent increase in bear activity. Our officers are engaged in tracking the incidents, responding to calls, and ensuring our community remains safe and well informed. We are in direct contact with both the California Department of Fish and Wildlife and Bear Lovers of Sierra Madre. The partnership helps us share critical information and respond quickly and responsibly to the growing number of bear sightings and incidents. Okay, this is a history of bear calls in Sierra Madre. As you can see, we started really tracking them in 2023. We went from 374, slight decrease in 2023 to 2024, slight decrease. You can see we're at a slight increase now. We're into June, and we're at 200 calls for service, so we're likely going to hit in the low 400s to mid 400s this year. So we're getting a lot more bear activity or more bear calls reported. This just kind of gives you an overall picture of bear call trends. As you can see, this is more of the intrusions. So if you, or bear calls completely, if you could see from May into June or June in that month, we've had 120 calls for service just in the month of June, which is an anomaly. We had, I believe it was 73 last year in June to 120 this year. So quite an increase of bear activity in the month of June. Bear intrusions. Here's where it becomes a little concerning. I've color-coded them. So for 2025, in the month of June, if you could see from 2023 to 2025, it's pretty consistent as far as how many intrusions for the first 5 months. However, in 2023, we went from 1 intrusion in June to 13 in 2024, and right now we're at 41. So it's over tripled compared to 2024. On the right, I have the attempt bear intrusions. So for the area that's concerning, in 2023, attempt bear intrusions in June For Sierra Madre, we had 13. However, currently for the month of June in 2025, we're up to 18 attempt bear intrusions, just for the month of June. This picture depicts overall year-to-date and throughout the year. So 2023, 9, throughout the year of 2024, 27, and currently year-to-date, we're at 30. 18 of those are from June alone.
Chief, I'm confused. So I see the two numbers and I don't understand the difference between them. Did we have 41 reported intrusions and we have 30?
The 30 should say 2025, the year up on top,
Okay.
not 2024.
But we've got 41 reported intrusions. So 41 actually went in, and then we have another 30 that were attempted on top of the 40. I'm sorry, let me rephrase this. We have 47 reported intrusions in 2025, right? 41 plus the other 3 months, right? And on top of that 47, we have an additional 30 in 2025 of attempted intrusions.
And the definition is they didn't get in.
Correct.
Okay,
Yes.
Okay.
That is correct.
okay.
That is correct. So for the month of June, we have 41 intrusions plus 18, so 59 incidents where the bear either entered or attempted to enter at home and caused some damage.
In the month of June.
What's the 18, I'm sorry?
The 18 is for the month of June only. So of those 30 for 2025, it should read 2025 the year up on the top right. That's year to date.
Oh, okay.
But of those 30, 18 are only for the month of June.
Got it.
Compared to last year, we only had 13 in the month of June for
Okay, I understand.
20.
And the attempted intrusion, it is of different homes, right? So if a bear goes and tries one window and then goes and tries the door and does something else, that's considered one intrusion because it's one home. If it goes to the next home, that's considered another attempted intrusion, even if it may try multiple ways to get in.
Thank you for the question. That is correct.
Great.
It's
Except
per
if
home.
it comes back another day, that's a whole nother incident.
Thank you. Yes. Yes.
Thank you for the question. That is correct.
Okay.
It's per incident.
Yeah.
If it comes back the same twice in one day, we will count it as 2 separate incidents. So if the bear comes back, breaks in a second time, it would be counted as 2 separate incidents.
Got it.
Our Sierra Madre Police bear protocol. So right now, we respond to all bear calls, especially those that pose a public safety threat. When we get there, we assess the situation. Based on the situation, a lot of those incidents, the bear is no longer there. We take appropriate action when the bear is there, usually with less lethal ammunition. That'd be the 40 millimeter pepper ball and the use of the drone. And then what we do is we log the details in our CAD, in our computer, which includes location, type of behavior, whether the bear was aggressive or not, caused property damage. We do use body-worn cameras and photographs to take pictures and record the incident, and depending on threat level.
So you could report that number back out to us.
Sir, it's all of these, thank you for the question, but all of these incidents are all reported to Fish and Wildlife on a monthly basis. I've kept a tally of all incidents in Sierra Madre involving bears.
Okay.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, please go ahead.
You mentioned the partnership you have with the Bear Lovers Association or organization in town. Do we provide their contact or resources from them to the homeowners or the folks that are making the calls, that when you go to visit, to the extent that, you know, they had a bear go into their crawl space, or is there a way to link them with resources about how to prevent that from happening again? Because I know that there are, you know, tips and practices that can help reduce the risk of a repeat offense.
Thank you for the question. We do have flyers that have been provided by Bear Lovers of Sierra Madre. We do provide those. In addition to, we do provide Bear Lovers of Sierra Madre with some of the information in incidents where there's been a break-in or an entry into the home, so that they can follow up and educate the homeowner
Thank you.
on methods to prevent it from reoccurring. Key required actions, like I said, it's All incidents are documented in our CAD system, every single incident that we respond to. In addition to that, we do report to Fish and Wildlife. We do report every incident, like our spike of bear intrusions currently. In contact with Fish and Wildlife daily to get updates into some of their actions or their enforcement. And then on a monthly basis, I do report every single incident to Fish and Wildlife. We've been doing that for a little over 2 years now.
Chief, quick question. When you guys, your officers are inside a house trying to vacate a bear, you've been, well, obviously someone called 911 and contacted us. Is it your experience they're also contacting Fish and Wildlife at the same time? If they are, have you ever had Fish and Wildlife show up when you show up to help with the problem?
Thank you for the question. No.
Which no? No, they're not calling, or no, they're not showing up?
No, they haven't shown up.
Not once since we've been tracking this.
But we don't know if they've been called either, right?
Well, it's, two questions can be dealt with separately, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the first question was, do you know if the homeowners are simultaneously calling Fish and Wildlife when they call 911?
I don't have the answer to that. However, they are calling 911. Are we reporting it to Fish and Wildlife simultaneously? Yes, we are.
Oh, you guys are?
We do.
Oh.
However,
Great.
their criteria is they only respond unless the animal has become a serious nuisance or danger to humans.
So when they're in a house and you're calling them, telling them what's up, and they're not showing up, they've made a judgment about that, I take it.
So they have their criteria, and yes, we provide them with
Right.
the information that we have, and that's their criteria to respond. So nuisance or poses a danger to a human.
Thank you.
And who are you reporting these to?
To Fish and Wildlife.
And who within Fish and Wildlife, what's the person's role?
So we call the direct phone number to report to Fish and Wildlife. In addition to that, his first name's Kevin, who's the biologist. We send him the reports every single month.
Okay, so you're sending it to their general information and to the biologist whom we have a relationship with?
The biologist that's assigned to our area, yes, that we have a relationship. In addition to Lieutenant Garcia, who's their patrol or their enforcement officer, in addition to that, yes.
Got it.
And then I have up there reporting instructions. If you have an emergency and the animal poses an imminent threat, call 911. Don't hesitate. For non-emergency calls, meaning the bear has left, a bear is just seen, there's no immediate threat, call the station directly at 626-355-1414, or you can report directly to California Fish and Wildlife at www.wildlife.ca.gov, or you can email our city to report it at wildlife@cityofsierramadre.com to report all incidents.
.com? Should that be the new format?
That's correct?
Yeah, it'll forward automatically, but we should update our message.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, please.
If residents expect a timely response to a call, I assume we would, and it's a situation where there's not an imminent threat, I assume we would recommend them calling the non-emergency line here, because I suspect that even our email and certainly the Fish and Wildlife email is not going to generate a response within a few hours or anything like that. Because we've gotten a lot of feedback from residents that, oh, I've called Fish and Wildlife, they don't call back. Well, I don't think they're likely to call back, so I think if folks want an actual response or to talk to someone, I think that they need to call the 1414 line if it's a non-emergency. Is that correct?
Thank you for the question. Yes, as I stated, if it's an imminent threat, call 911. It's an emergency. What level? If you see a bear and you feel it poses a threat and you're scared, that's a 911 call. If the bear is just seen in someone's backyard and there's no imminent threat, call our landline phone number at 626-355-1414. The police department is responding to all bear calls.
Thank you.
Chief, are we getting any reports of bears living underneath people's decks? And do you have the details in the CAD system of of the difference between a home intrusion and a bear denning underneath a house?
Thank you for the question. Yes, I do have all that documented. So anytime a bear is living in a crawl space underneath a deck, that's habituated. We get categorized under habituated bear, and yes, we do document that. Okay, Sierra Madre policy. So wildlife policy is, police department's focus is on public safety. Sierra Madre is obviously our priority to keep them safe. We do use available tools. That's the less lethal, which I will discuss a little further. And it also applies to domestic and wild animals. So getting into our use of force policy, I know we've discussed this. Can an officer use a deadly force? Yes, but they can only use deadly force if there's imminent threat of great bodily injury or death. And all force options have been exhausted. If it's imminent, we don't have to exhaust all other options, but it applies the same way to an animal. So some of the non-lethal options that we use is the 40 millimeter, which is a rubber ball, a pepper ball. We could use a fire extinguisher, or what's been very beneficial lately is drones. The mayor sent me a podcast, which I was fortunate it's from Montana, where an expert at bears is saying that that drones have been very effective at redirecting or scaring off bears.
Fire extinguisher. What's the fire extinguisher? I think of a fire extinguisher as the thing that's on the wall. That's, you know, I'm imagining a police officer going and hitting him with a fire extinguisher. That's not what that is.
No, we use it as a fire extinguisher. It
You
works
bring
with
it-
dogs, animals. Yes, it scares them off.
And can I back up just a quick second? Imminent force or imminent threat applies not just to your officers, but also to the people that you're trying to protect in somebody's home or on someone's property, correct?
That is correct. Anyone, not just
If you're,
police
if you're approaching, you're entering a property and you see a child and you see a bear that is an imminent threat, you guys have the option of shooting the bear if that's absolutely necessary in their view. They think it's an imminent threat to the child.
Thank you for the question. That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Pose imminent threat to anybody? Absolutely.
Do you have statistics on the deployment of the non-lethal bear options?
I don't have them with you. I can get you a report with the non-lethal options. We try to minimize so that it doesn't become some sort of learned behavior. And if we target a bear enough with a 40 millimeter, it no longer has effect. So we're very select when we use it, and then we're responsible for every projectile that comes out of that tool.
How often have you used the non-lethal options this year?
I couldn't tell you the exact numbers, but we have used it several
Okay,
times.
so we have used it several times. Okay,
We have.
great.
So jurisdiction and responsibility, just our Sierra Madre wildlife protocol. So California Department of Fish and Wildlife has primary authority over wildlife, which includes bear. And I think I brought this up, Fish and Wildlife will only respond if the animal is a serious nuisance or danger to humans, and they have to get, meaning Fish and Wildlife has to get their supervisor approval to respond. That's kind of their protocol. Usually when they respond is if the bear has displayed aggressive behavior or is habituated. Habituated is considered under their category criteria, a bear that's entering a home, or for a mountain lion that's active in a populated area. You also can report bobcats, coyotes, and reptiles. However, those are usually recommended that you report them directly with Fish and Wildlife.
Can you remind us the categories for bears? What are the?
Absolutely. It is public safety bear, conflict bear,
So is public safety the highest or the lowest?
the highest.
Okay, public safety, got it.
Conflict bear, that's usually an aggressive bear. Habituated, usually living under a crawl space, keeps returning to the same home, returning to the same trash bins. And then we have depredation. So no depredation, those are at zeros, and no harm, no foul. That's usually bear seen only.
So it goes no harm, no foul. Depredation is the next level,
That is correct.
and then above depredation, it is
Habituated,
habituated,
conflict,
conflict,
and public safety.
So we're up at DEFCON 3 then. We've got a bunch of bears that are at habituated.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, this concludes my presentation. Thank you. I'm available. Any questions or concern? There's information up there about City of Sierra Madre's wildlife at Sierra Madre, ca.gov, and wildlife, that's directly to Fish and Wildlife, wildlife.ca.gov/WIR. That's the direct link to report any incident involving any wildlife.
Got it. All right. Any other questions from council? So, can you tell me more about your interaction with California Department of Fish and Wildlife? Like, how often are you meeting with them? Kind of, give me an idea of the relationship that we've got with them, and kind of, what's the collaboration we've got between the two?
So our collaboration, we have a good working relationship. Ever since we identified the uptick or the spike in the trend of bear activity, we've been in daily contact. They've, and what I mean, Fish and Wildlife has kept me abreast of some of their the actions or enforcement that they're taking. For example, I know that in Monrovia and Sierra Madre, they've set up several traps over the last few weeks. I can tell you that several bears have been trapped. Several bears have been tagged. I can inform you that 2 bear traps were set up today. Today they trapped a bear at about 1500 hours, which is about 3 p.m. I did look at our stats for today. From midnight to to 5:30 p.m., we've had 10 bear calls for service. Of those 10, 4 were entry or intrusions, 2 to a home, 2 to a garage. The bear today that was captured, Fish and Wildlife believes it's one of the habituated bears. I can tell you we have not had a call since 3 p.m. today for any bear call incidents. So that's something we will be monitoring to report to Fish and Wildlife in the next couple of days. But they have been in daily contact with me, and they have kept me abreast of where they're setting up the traps, whether they capture bears or not.
And so we don't know how many they've actually trapped.
I could just tell you, I do not know an exact number, but I could tell there are several. It's numerous.
Did you request the California Department of Fish and Wildlife attend this meeting?
With all due respect, yes, sir, I did.
And how did they respond?
So I did speak with Kevin today, and they were focused on trapping bears today. They have 1 biologist for this whole regional area, I believe, all the way from San Bernardino, San Diego County, Orange County, and LA County. They have just 1 biologist. And their main focus was City of Sierra Madre and Monrovia today to capture their bear.
And you said that you started tracking bears really in 2022. Is that right? Is it 2022 or 2023?
I think it was 23.
2023, we had some data in 2022, and I gathered some of that data, but 2023 is when we started tracking bears.
So the data that you had on your slide from 2020 to 2022, how reliable would you say that data is?
Thank you for the question. I don't think it's very reliable. There wasn't as much reporting, nor were we documenting every single bear incident. I think we're doing a much greater job, and I think our citizens are doing a much greater job of reporting every incident.
When did you become chief?
2023.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? All right. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk, do we have any cards for public comment?
Mr. Mayor, we did not receive any emails on this agenda item, nor did we have any cards submitted this evening.
pause to see if there's anyone from the public that would like to come up and speak. All right, I'll go ahead and close the public comments and come back with council discussion. Who'd like to start?
I'll start. I'm heartened by the fact that we're getting more activity from Fish and Wildlife in terms of trapping. This time last year, we had a very difficult time getting them to come for even one problem bear, which turned out to be a very big problem bear, and they did trap it eventually. So to me, that's a positive thing. But it's obvious to me that they are woefully understaffed, and they are not able to respond to our citizens when it's their purview under the law. It's not ours to manage this wildlife. So that is a consistent problem we're seeing over the last few years, and it seems to be a more serious problem because of the heightened numbers and the increase in aggressivity by these bears. And that is reflected by our public. They are telling us that they are very upset about it, and they are expecting us to do something about it. I just would like to assure the public that we are going to have another meeting in August. We're off. We're dark in our second meeting of July and our first meeting of August. But we are going to have another meeting in August. Our new city manager will be taking the helm. He will be putting a lot of time and effort into this issue, as will we. We're looking at a variety of different options, and hopefully we will have some new information to share with the public at that time. Personally, I am very disappointed that we're not able to, as an agency, protect our citizens the way I'd like us to be able to protect them. These bears are coming into people's houses, and we have to react. We have to react to that. We can't progressively go out and get them. It's just not under the law. We can't do it. And I hope that our residents will maintain their patience with us and understand the limitations that we have legally, though I think we're all kind of chafing at those limitations, wishing that we could do something beyond them.
I've noticed too in the canyon and surrounding areas the increase in mitigation efforts. The canyon people are putting bars and wood pieces across their windows and certain areas so that the bears can't rip through the screens and through the windows. My in-laws put metal sheet grates over all their windows now, and that's a huge cost to have to try to mitigate a bear breaking into your home.
I just want to reiterate what we were talking about before, because every time she comes and speaks and every time I see her, I am so impressed with the Bear Lovers organization and I know she's not here tonight, but in absentia, I'd like just to reiterate how much good work she and her organization and her volunteers are doing. I mean, the amount of information that she has and is willing to share, and the amount of work that they do. I think, every week on trash day, they're making the rounds and talking to people. And so I'm hopeful that some of those efforts will also help, at least mitigate the next generation of habituated bears. I do think, we have a problem with the bears that we have now that have grown up in this environment and grown up with this easy access to a food source. And I'm hopeful that, if we as the human residents can help, limit the availability, hopefully we're not, pushing it into the next generation. But that being said, that we have a limit, as Councilmember Goss said, we have a limit on what we can do, and we do need to figure out how to better manage the population generally and have the agency in charge of that do a better job of doing that. And I would, as much as people feel like this is something that they want to do something about, I would definitely recommend contacting our state level officials about properly budgeting for these items. Part of the problem we've had is that they have reduced funding at the state level for these positions, so that whereas there used to be a handful of these biologists, now there's one, and they've eliminated the conflict specialist position that was so helpful in years past. And so, the more pressure that we can all put to bear on our elected officials, both on the legislative side and the executive side, the more hopefully that they'll pay attention. I do have to say that our state assemblyman is very much, our former mayor John Herbedian is very much on this issue, and is being our voice in Sacramento, but the more he hears from us and our residents, you know, the stronger that message that he can carry to his colleagues and to the governor can be.
Thank you very much. I do appreciate your use of that we put to bear on
Oh,
this.
sorry, yes.
No, as well.
Unintentional.
I agree. Michelle Tremblay of Bear Lovers of Sierra Madre is done a phenomenal job of developing an organization and a network and resources. You know, as I think we talked about with the chief, her resources are given to every resident where we've got where there has been where police responds, they give the information and they've got the information there. Former city manager Reynoso and management analyst Carlson and I went to Sacramento back a couple months ago for Assemblymember Harabedian's bill AB 1024 and spoken in support of it, that something that would have given us funding to be able to restore the wildlife conflict specialists that we had in the prior 2 years. And that, as Councilmember Krieb said, that the funding has been cut. This is very, very serious. We're taking it very seriously. We have met with the director of California Department of Fish and Wildlife. It was a couple of years ago, and we're looking at trying to continue that relationship and try to continue the communication at multiple levels within the organization. And then finally, what I'll say is that I've been in communication with the mayors of La Cañada, Flint Ridge, Monrovia, Arcadia, and Claremont, and I am having a workshop for mayors on August 8th here in Sierra Madre to talk about what we can do about this, to try to get some funding. If we can't get funding from the state, can we get funding locally to be able to get resources here to deal with this pressing issue? So we're working as hard as we can, as fast as we can, with everything that we can do. But as other council members have said, you know, the ultimate responsibility on this relies with the California Department of Fish and Wildlife, and it's challenging and I think frustrating for many of us. They've been a good partner. I don't want to discount that, but they just don't have the resources. As you can see tonight, we don't have them here tonight because they're doing the trapping of the bears in our city.
Can I say something though about that? I think the people on the ground have been doing a great job. That's what's not populated, but the hierarchy that makes those decisions on what their policy is, I don't think that has necessarily been successful and in great collaboration with anybody in California.
Fair
We're
enough.
looking at we've expressed to them this problem over and over again, and we haven't seen anything. I mean, this last time, the people on the ground, like I said, are amazing. People doing all this legwork, the specialists, the biologists, they're fantastic. But I think at the higher level, that's where the failure is, and I don't see policy creating anything better for the management of wildlife.
Well said. Thank you for that addition.
I'd like to add my voice to that. I feel like the people that we've dealt with at this level have been fantastic. And unfortunately, some were laid off this time last year. There were more of them, which is tragic. But yeah, somebody up north is not paying attention to the depth of this problem, and it is a public safety problem, and it's something that, you know, it's not on, it's the Fish and Wildlife's responsibility, and somebody up there is taking huge risks by not taking this problem more seriously and making more prudent budgetary and logistical decisions. So I totally agree with you, Councilmember. I think you understated the case, frankly.
And in case it hasn't been already distinguished, I just want to point out that when we're talking about what's within the purview of Department of Fish and Wildlife, that's regarding the removal of the bears, that the city is actively working on what is within our control in terms of long-term policy considerations, enforcement. We've done a lot of work over the last 5 years already in terms of doubling down on state laws, for example, with feeding animals. We have our own city ordinance that also reinforces that, and we are being proactive in terms of the human dimensions of management options as well.
And I've asked the chief, we've been giving folks warnings for feeding the bears. I think we're asking, and I think with consent of other council members, I think we need to move from warnings to a no tolerance policy. As it is, the saying goes, a fed bear is a dead bear. And we need to make sure that we don't give them food sources and get them trained to come to our homes and to our trash cans for food.
In our houses, inside our houses.
Absolutely.
They can kill my trash can, but I don't want them in the house.
Well, but that's related.
Yeah, but it's not just the trash cans anymore. We don't have that problem so much. It's
Yeah.
now inside the home.
So I think, you know, as one of we've discussed a lot of things that are going on. A lot of activity is going on, a lot of action is going on. When we were kicked off our work with the library, we had a regular item on the agenda to do an update on the library. What I'd like to is between now, for our meetings in August and in September, maybe into October, we'll evaluate the second meeting in September. I'd like to have a standing agenda item on bears so that we can report out all of the activity that is going on and have the statistics and any actions that we've got.
Made that note, Mayor,
Great.
thank you.
Is there anything else? All right, so this concludes the agenda for the special meeting. As we do, I'd like, yes,
I was just gonna move to adjourn the special meeting.
thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great. We are going to take a 10-minute break. We will start back up at 6:15. The reason we have to do a 10-minute break is because we need to allow our video folks to be able to end this video and start the next one so that we can make sure that we get this out to public so they can see it. So with that, we are adjourned for the special meeting.